Hey, what's going on? It is your friend Buck at the NoTapeDeck podcast. And we are back with episode number 9. It is definitely not like table number 9 for anybody who remembers that movie, Adam Sandler classic. We are here today joined by an amazing drummer and musician, and we're all going to get to know Ben Cato from the awesome group called Best Case today. How's it going, Ben?
What's good, my G? Riding the wave, man. Happy to be here. I appreciate you having us on the pod, letting me pull up. I was easily the most long-winded candidate in my camp. You know, immediately, when Mikey told me he reached out, he's like, "All right, Ben, you're up. You're a talker." Happy to be here, bro.
Happy to have you, man. And I was stoked when I got the reply from Mikey, because I was like, dude, they're organized. Like, all right, it's going right to the drummer, and he's gonna be your man. Hit him up, and I'm like, rad. So like, text back, and it was like, here we are, right?
So good, man. Yeah, I've been very, very fortunate to cultivate a very unique team with this band, and it's still a very new band, and we haven't really opened up a lot of dialogue about our story and everything, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to get right into it, bro. What do you reckon?
Man, I first of all, thank you so much. Like I said at the onset there, right? This is episode 9, and probably similar to your music endeavor. It's just something that's been on my heart. So thank you for rolling the dice. My every intent is to do absolute right by yourself and your group. So I feel so lucky to have that opportunity to discuss it today, because when I, in the algorithm, right? When I
Mm-hmm.
first heard, just the first couple notes, and I went, yep, okay, cool. Here I go, right over to Apple. I'm just like, boom, I'm going over here.
Let's go.
And it was ironically the first song on your album called Lemons, and it was The Best Intent, and I just went, dude, who are these guys? Like, where did this come from? Because this is exactly what I needed to hear in that moment, right? It was just perfect, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and here we are. So, how'd y'all
I
meet?
love that. That's one of my favorite songs on the record too, man. So like, yeah, we'll get right into it. So, uh, my the singer Mike Robbins and like the main songwriter in the band, like it was just him.
Okay.
And I used to play in a band called Dangerous Summer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how he found me. He was a fan of that band, and we had like played shows together in Atlanta before his old band was like opening for us when we came through on tour and stuff, and I had no idea. I had no clue. And one day he just hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, I'm cooking on these songs. Best Intent was one of them. There were originally 4 that I heard.
All right.
It was like that one, Heavy Seas,
Dude.
and there was like 1 or 2 others. And he was like, "I want you to play on one of these. You have to pick one." I was like, "Damn, I got to pick one. Like, I love this. Like, who is this guy? Like, who is this like mystery man that's just sitting on like these sick ass songs?" Like, I'd almost given up on pop punk as a genre, and like I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, this guy is a proper study of this genre. Like, there's
Yeah.
depth here. Like, what's going on?" And so we cooked on Best Intent, and then maybe a month went by. This was like summer of 2023,
Okay.
and yeah, so it was almost 2 years ago, and he hits me up. Not too long after that, I hear from him maybe a month later, and he's like, "Hey, I booked a month with Zach Odom and Kenneth Mount. For those that don't know, those guys work with Mayday Parade and Cartel.
Yep.
They did a bunch of Every Avenue records. Shout out to my homie Josh Withenshaw. He's an old friend. I miss that guy. It's a OG Detroit homie. But anyways,
Yeah.
Zach and Ken were involved in that scene, and Mike was like, "Yeah, I booked a month with them. You want to do you want to? Well, we're gonna do an album. You want to do it for real?" And the timing of it, bro, was really interesting as well. And I'm in a place in my life now where I don't believe in coincidences because I had worked on a previous band for about 3 years. Some
Okay.
momentum was happening. I got a management deal, and then all of it fell apart like very, very abruptly. And all when that was happening is when I met Mike Robbins, and he's like, we're clearly hitting it off, and I'm loving what he's doing, and then he hits me with like, yeah, we're gonna do this record for real with Zach and Ken, and they're 40 minutes up the street from me. I'm like,
Damn.
this is not a coincidence. This is crazy. And I've been wanting to work with Zach and Ken for a long time, but I didn't want to be beating down their door. I was just trying to be patient. Like, yeah, one of these days it'll happen. I would see
Right.
them at shows, and I've always loved their production and everything. And I think they just re-released that Cartel's Chroma for like a 20-year or something. So they got a ton of shit going on. They're killing it.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, I finally get to work with these guys. This is sick. And I only had like a day or two to prepare, but Mike used to play drums, and he wrote these songs and it was like one of these, oh, I see what's going on here. Like, because he speaks drummer, like I was able to kind of navigate the songs in a way where not like if he had a suggestion or he had an idea, like it was undeniably sick because he speaks that language. Does that make sense? And
100%. Yeah.
so
More than you
good.
know.
And
Yeah.
then yeah, exactly. And then so all I had to do was like do my thing and just throw the kitchen sink at any idea he had. And because I've always been a really technical, detail oriented drummer, and it was like, that's a hard place to be in the music world, because everyone wants to dumb everything down and simplify it, but simultaneously not a lot of people spend the 10,000 hours to like figure out how to ice skate that balance of like, okay, here's my writer's voice, here's how it translates to the instrument I play, and then here's how I apply that in an actual live band setting or in the studio or whatever. And there was just an incredible synergy opinion revealing itself, and it was just me and him. And it's like day one, and we're like getting ready to record, and like that moment where you're like, okay, like we're about to hit record for the first time. I'm ready for these producers to tell me to tone it down. And then they didn't. And everyone in the room was like really stoked. And it was just happening. And immediately I was like, Mike, we have to make this a real thing. Like, I know you hired me for this session. You don't even have to pay me. Like, I want to be in your band. Like, we have to make this a thing. And we sat down at a seedy Mexican restaurant up the street from my house and ate too much chips and salsa and drew out an entire plan, because this bond that I had with him over the amount of like times you try to do a band. And the analogy I would use, bro, is like, you remember when we were in school and like the final project was a group project, right? And you're like you want to kill it, you want to get a good grade, right?
100%,
and everyone else in your group does nothing, and then you're stuck doing all the work, and then they scapegoat you for it, they demonize you for it, right? There's resentment, there's jealousy, there's all of these like feelings, and nobody is aligned in the trajectory and the purpose and the goal, right? Like, and it's kind of like a loose example, but I think palpably that's one that a lot of people can relate to, because like it's incredibly rare to be in a setting like that where there's very little deliberating about what needs to happen creatively, sonically. Like, so I knew that I had lightning in a bottle, like day one, breaking ground on the record. And then like we wrapped week of Christmas 2023, and then the record's been out since August, and like
August 9th.
we've only there you go. I love a man that does his research. That's so sick. And
I'm not Rain Man or anything. It's the day before my birthday, so I automatically bookmarked it. I
so
went,
good.
hell yeah. You're like, dude.
No, I love that. That's so funny because I nicknamed Mike Rain Man Robbins because the joke is he doesn't have a bad song in him, right? He's like this soft spoken, low key genius,
All right.
and so I love that you went there. That's amazing, but yeah, like we it's still such a new band, and like we've only played a handful of shows, and like I didn't know what to expect other than just like I saw what was happening. I saw the like synergy opinion manifest and start to build momentum, and like I knew I had something special with the project, and like I can't explain. I guess being in this place where I'm like, okay, the band has a lane, and that was like a new thing for me as well
Right.
because I've done a lot of eclectic projects that like are a lot of a lot more like heady genre blending type stuff that is like very musician oriented, you know what I mean? And like for with best case, I just stumbled into this like, oh wow, like I guess in 2025 the algorithm knows what this is, and it's like I've played like 3 shows with this band, and we have like 14K Spotify monthlies. That's crazy. Like, what is going on? You know?
Well,
But,
I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, this is current, but it has a current sense of, I don't want to say nostalgia, but I mean,
yeah.
I looked at it through a couple different lenses. Number one, the
Hmm.
genre and the algorithm. Um, Also, the drum feel. I mean, you got into you've already said some words that come to mind, you know, like sonically, right? It's like it's it's so well produced without being polished. And the last time
Hmm.
when I heard the drums and the way that they and yeah, you know, that we're gonna put on that layer, and it makes a lot more sense now knowing that, you know, Mike is a drummer as well, and you're drumming for a drummer. It's like a Dave Grohl, Josh Freese. Well, you know, Josh Freese not anymore, but
Oh, I love that. Josh
unfortunately,
Freese is the boy. Let's
yeah,
go.
right, exactly. So,
Even though he got booted, right? A little controversial, but it's fine. Like
hundred,
that guy's definitely gonna like land on his feet, you know.
yeah, yeah, and stars aligned, and I got to see that live last summer, so that was epic.
Oh,
But
that's so sick.
I had a feeling when I listened, and you know, I was gonna save this till the end, but we're getting to it now. But I haven't heard an album front to back in a long time where I can just press play at the beginning and not want to skip a song and absolutely love the entire thing. But one more feeling that I got when I heard it was a feeling that I haven't gotten in a while, and the way the drumming accents everything else that's amazing about it. It was like the first time I heard Lechuza from Thnx when Damon Dalapaz went from guitar on the first album and then he played drums on the second one. And it was like,
Yes.
and I went, you know, like you're like, oh, there it is. Like the way the drumming, it's not overplaying. It's just like you already answered it, right? You're like you were able to kind of do what you wanted and play what you wanted and felt. It's a rare thing to hear with the pop punk genre where it's like it's not being overplayed, it's being played amazingly well. And it's very
I love that,
complimentary
bro. Hell
of
yeah.
the sound. So that's
Dude,
kind
my
of
man said Lechuza. Let's go, dude. I love I love that. So 2 things,
yeah,
bro. So like I was raised on like Jordan Burns era strung out,
strung out, yeah.
Derek from
Hell
Lagwagon,
yeah.
like that was like my shit.
Mhm.
Millen Collin,
Yeah.
like like that era. And
Yeah.
I think that like, you know, if we look at what's happening in current era pop punk, like outside of maybe like guys like Knuckle Puck or something, I don't
Mhm.
hear a lot of like proper studies of the genre. And I think it's like really interesting because if I were a jazz musician, like, yeah, you go back
Mhm.
culturally in that setting and you go listen to all of those records, you listen to the greats, and like it's there seems to be kind of like a disconnect. Um, and maybe that's more of like of something that's happening globally in music. But I think in pop punk, I noticed it very readily because you know, being a teenager in the late '90s, it was like you know we had Tony Hawk, and like that was like a whole movement with those video games and shit, and like
Yeah.
the soundtrack and the
Goldfinger,
X
yeah.
Games shit. Y'all, bro, Goldfinger, let's fucking go, so good.
Dude.
and I love that band so much. I used to try to emulate that guy's snare sound, Darren, just like a cranked piccolo snare. That
Yeah,
was like I
and
was so fixated on that.
that cranked piccolo is so late '90s, early 2000s, and I saw them once in
Yes,
this little club in Portland downtown, right around
I love that.
2002, and it was rad. He played the song off the Pro Skater with a like a he had like a bucket, like a KFC,
Superman,
yeah,
right?
KFC bucket on his head. It was classic. But yeah, when you got that cranked down sound, that it's almost like going in a time machine and you go, yep, that was somewhere between
Yes,
like '97 and 2006 ish.
yes.
Yeah.
There was a pocket there that was like really really special, you know. So like Mike listens to all those bands, so it was like, all right, sick. Like I see exactly the sandbox, but then like he's doing all these dope like synth layers that kind of modernize the sound and like kind of do something different.
Sonically, yeah.
They kind of, yeah, exactly. And it was really interesting being in session with him at the studio because there were so many layers. It was just like you picked it all apart and it was like, oh, this is like so simple, but then you stack all of it and it was like, oh wow, like this is so dope. Like I found my guy. Like, where have you been all my life, dude? Like this is so good, you know? And he's just like letting me rip and he's like trusting what I have to say. And like again, there was no like, oh, don't do that. It was just like, oh, that's sick. Or if I were to make a suggestion, his answer would further expand on an idea that someone had in the room. And it was like, oh shit. Like, so again, like spiritually, energetically, creatively, it's like, I can't reinforce that enough. Like, I knew it was something really special and really rare. And like being in a place where I'm so stoked to have fulfillment in the process. Um, do you know what I mean? Like just
Which,
the ritual of it.
yeah, I
Like I
think it
feel,
translates
even though
to
the band's small, right? Like we're new, we're brand new, but like I've already done it. I'm so fulfilled in like we're already 13 songs deep into the next record, which
no
we're gonna
way.
work on in November. Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh
oh yeah.
shit,
The
yeah.
goal is to get to 20. So it's like something so different is happening, man, and it's like so sick to like open up about it. I'll share like
Yeah.
so when I was like done and sat down with Mikey and we were going over our release strategy and everything,
Okay.
and um occasionally I would just, you know, as a drummer, we have to like be relevant on the internet, and I have to do content. And like I was pooping out a drum video with some just synth loops I made in Output Arcade, and I get a text from Mike, and he's like, "Send that to me right now." Like no context, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And
Yeah.
um, he had already archived because he needed help with lyrics for the album. So I was just like, here's 10 years of poetry I've never shared with anyone. I trust you. Like, just fully
Damn.
surrendering to what this guy's got going on. Right. So knowing that he does that, right, I send him the recording of the minute long Instagram vid that I did. And not even discussing it, he takes an old poem that I'd given him, shapes a whole song around just a groove that I had with a synth layer, does a vocal and everything, and like it was like maybe an hour, and I had it on my Dropbox, and I was like, still, I had already done the record, and I was like, who is this guy? Who is he? Like, you know, like
Just connecting dots,
it,
man.
yeah, and it's really really different, bro. Like I've been in a lot of bands, and I've been very lucky, and I've done a lot of touring internationally, and like it's it's I can't stress it enough, like how unique it is to be in a place where you meet somebody and you're like, okay, this is sick, and he's like, all right, bro, I trust you, like help me build out this lineup, like who would you pick, you know, like who do you want to do videos with? Who do you want to do this with? Like, let's figure it out. Like, and having that level of synergistic trust has been like absolutely life changing. And again, all of this happened when I thought the guys I was supposed to be building with, that I'd worked on a different project with for the last 3 years, had kind of just like pulled the rug out from under me and were like, hey man, like we're out, you know? And that's right when I met Mike Robbins and right when all of this happened. And fast forward to now, it's like we're working with a small production team out in LA called 2%. And
Yeah, the
we're
folks who do your videos, right?
yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And we had set down with the goal of trying to knock out a video for every song on the album. And we're almost there. We've got like three or four more, I think, to get us to November when we do the next record. And they were another like just happenstance. Guys doing grip work in LA. We were shooting a different video, and I saw one of them like posting these. He did like 100 short films in 100 days, and he posted
Damn.
one every day. And I was like, this guy's so low key sick too. So like, there's this community slowly opening up in the camp of our band where I've never felt more fulfilled, bro. It's again, this is not a coincidence. I think this is like this massive uh spiritual, like just it's very hard to quantify and put into words. I'm just like so incredibly fulfilled. My cup's just overflowing, bro, to be in a space, to just be surrounded by other people that are all in all the time. You know, it's like God, like I just
No, and it
it's
translates in on the album. It translates, you know, in your voice. That was kind of, you know, watching the videos. I mean,
mhm.
you know, heavy seas is like a tearjerker. I'm like, man, I haven't like teared up over a music video, and I don't know how long. You know what I mean? And like, there's
Yeah.
clearly like this very uh, you know, collective based. You know, everybody's in alignment. You know, just it's just a very awesome art project to see come to fruition. Because yeah, like the latest one that you just released, So Long Summer, right? Um,
Mhm.
are these like all shot out in LA? Are they like extras? Are they friends of the production folks at 2%, or like your friends? Or it has a very like sort of newfound glory feel to it. The way they would like, you know, invite their friends into the videos and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you brought them up. The Coral Springs legends, man. So
Absolutely,
good.
yeah.
So good. I remember doing breakfast with them in my old band in Franklin, Tennessee. Great guys. We did
Hell yeah.
worked Australia together in my old band. Great guys.
Nice.
Love them so much. But basically these guys at 2%, our homies Tyler and Walker, like
Okay.
they'll pitch us an idea, and like it's crazy what these two guys can do, because it's almost just like if we're on board with a pitch deck that they throw us, it's just like, okay man, you guys cook, and like we show up, and like I don't they're just plugged into this network of actors and stuff like that, and homies, and they're all working on like a bunch of different projects at once. There seems to be a lot of collaborative effort type stuff going on. But uh, this opportunity with Tyler, the main guy, like he'll sit down and he's got like this whole wall that's like a big whiteboard, and he's just like writing all of it out. He's like, I heard this in this song, and like, dude, this is gonna be so sick. You know, it's like this dude builds a time machine to go back to see to the day he met this girl. This is like, man, it's gonna be so sick. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna let you cook, bro, because that's so dope. Like I didn't even go there, but I love that you went there. And
Yeah.
um I I don't really know who any of these people, like some of them are actors for sure. And like
Yeah.
there was there was another song where we did a bunch of choreography and stuff, and like we just showed up, and like there were like 25 people that like and they all knew our names, and I was just like, this is so
Yeah,
crazy. Like,
the Dancing Echoes video, right?
yeah, there you go,
Dude, and what's funny is like
yeah,
not funny, but what is I'm not generally I don't gravitate towards like a dancey type thing. I think that kind of goes
yeah,
with maybe just a lot of rockers or pop punk, whatever. But man, you guys pulled it off like phenomenally in that video with the way it's like it feels like it's a park you could be in your own neighborhood, with the way Mike is like walking down the
yeah.
trail and the people kind of coming in and out of the frame. Yeah, just remarkable, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked that it resonated with you, man. We took a big chance on that because it was one of Mikey's ideas. He was like, I want to open a dialogue, Ben, about like why don't bands in this genre do choreography? Let's just try it. I
Exactly.
was just like, you want, yeah, So it was like, and then our homies at 2% had this crazy idea, and they were like, let's try to shoot it as like a one take, like that
Yeah,
World War I film 1917, where it's like this long, wide, continuous shots.
exactly.
So there were maybe like 4 cuts that we did in that whole video. It was wild, bro. And again, the vehicle of this band has just like brought so many cool people like Tyler and Walker from 2%
Hell yeah.
into the fold with us to just expand on the record and like really do it justice. And dude, I love that video hit for you, man, because I was nervous about it too, dude. I was like, I don't know, is this gonna work? Like, I don't know what we're doing.
Well, yeah.
But it turned out great.
I mean, I love the song, and then I watched the video, and I'm like, because you just said it. It's like why like the way Mike said, like why don't we try choreography? And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
and to see it, and then you go back and watch it again, and you go, yeah, that was really kind of like a cinematic thing. Well, they're all cinematic, all of your videos.
Mhm.
Kind of jumping over to Never Ending Story. You play the mailman, aka Crippling Anxiety, when you wave at the camera.
Oh, so good.
And
Yes.
brilliantly shot too, because it's I'm not going to give away like the ending to that video or anything. Some folks, hopefully all the folks who are listening to this podcast, jump over to your YouTube, and there will be links in the description 100% to see these videos, and see the ending for themselves. So it's like this sort of amalgamation of the sound. Y'all met at the right time for the right reasons, and then it translates so well. And I was going to say earlier too, when you were talking about the layers and the production and all of that, I like how it obviously any album is always going to be incredible through headphones, which yours is, but it also has a headphones feel, whether you're like in the car or the office or whatever, just listening to it with those layers is what I'm saying.
Oh, I love that, bro.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Like I believe in album like long play, man. Like it's cool that like that resonated with you because
Hmm.
we're in this world now where like everyone thinks you just have to like play the singles game, and it's like, dude, like I want to make fucking records, dude. Like like, am I crazy for still wanting to do albums? Like, so
No, no,
that's awesome, man. That like
you're
you
not, because you
you
said
know
some.
what I mean?
Yeah, you said something earlier that I sort of extracted, and I've been it's been in the back of my head, and I think now's the perfect time for it. When you said being a study of the genre, and it's so apropos that you said that, because I was listening to a different genre podcast a couple of days ago, but in the music realm, and this person was literally talking about the same thing, about how it's like folks are kind of coming to the table, and I'm not saying this throwing shade or negatively, but there's artists out there that are coming to the
Mhm.
table and they haven't studied the genre, quote unquote, and they don't know who, the lack of a better term, the forefounders of the genre, or who moved the
Right.
genre this way or that. So it makes even more sense now, knowing what I know now, when I listen to the Lemons. And on top of that, y'all are in the studio working on a new album. You said the goal, how many tracks are you guys aiming for on that?
Well, it'll probably be at minimum a 10-song album, but
Yeah.
I want to pull up with 20 songs and just cherry pick the best ones. So
Right.
I'm at about. We sat down on Monday and went through the demo archive, and I have 13 solid ones, and there's like 4 or 5 on the cutting room floor in addition to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mikey comes out of left field and he's like, dude, I've got like, and he says this so deadpan. He's so serious and sincere. He's like, I've got like 16 more, bro, that like I want to kind of like rework. And I'm just like, bro, you just keep again, that's Rain Man Robbins, dude. He's such a low-key genius. Nobody knows how sick this dude is, man. But thank God he found me, because oh, dude, it's wild, man. He's just sitting on like so many dope song ideas, like, and he's serious. Like, there really are 16 more. Like, it's crazy, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't doubt it based on what I've heard and what NoTapeDeck listeners are gonna definitely tune into, and I assume it's across. I'm usually like an Amazon,
Sure.
Apple guy, and when obviously when I come to a show, it's like I already noticed on your website I'm gonna have to hop on there and order a vinyl for sure, because y'all are doing that.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I love vinyl.
Say less. You said the magic word, dude. Shout out to my homie Coulter Pierce.
There you go.
At Weathered Records. He helped me make that happen. It's a very, very close friend of mine I've known since the MySpace days. He's such an OG. I love that dude so much. And he's got a small label based out of Montana, and he really helped us make that happen. And then he plugged in there's another Montana guy named New Cosmos Records. We did like a super. Did you see that lemon filled variant that's on there?
Not yet. Let me jam over to it real quick. Go ahead.
So we did 25 of these records with this in collaboration with my buddy Coulter's label, Weathered Records, and New Cosmos Records, where this guy took actual lemon slices and put it inside the vinyl. It's crazy, bro. Like, it's nuts. So we did 25 of those. They sold out super quick.
Yeah, it says sold out. Yeah.
We might do another small run of them, depending. But again, I've just never been in a position to take a harebrained idea like that and like make it happen. And because of Mike Robbins and then all the homies that I know, like Coulter and so forth, it's just, man, it is, every day is like Christmas making music with these people, dude. It has just been I'm just beside myself over here.
Word. Where did the name Lemons come from for the album?
So when me and Mikey were like in the weeds at the studio and at Zach and Ken's, he kind of had the idea as almost like a tongue-in-cheek thing, where it's like, because the goal was no skips, and it means so much to me, bro, that earlier you recognized the album as No Skips. That's so sick. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that sentiment.
Sure.
But that was like the irony we were going for, is like, oh, it's just a bunch of lemons, it's whatever, right? Like, and I just kind of trusted him. I was like, oh, that's dope, dude. And then it snowballed. It's like, oh, sick. Like, yeah, you want to put, oh, my homie knows this guy that does crazy shit with vinyl. You want to put actual lemon slices inside the, like, and it was like, all right, I see this. Everything's yellow. Like, and the branding and all that stuff started to unfold. And that's another interesting thing, is like, I don't get the opportunity to work with a lot of other creatives that are thinking about all of those things that you have to think about nowadays to be in a band, and covering all those bases and like having a very honed vision and every facet of that vision actualized is again, it's like Christmas morning, bro. And there was very little honing we had to do there. I have a buddy named Nick Farron, shout out to him, that helped with like the layout of the vinyl and everything. But the logo was just something Mikey threw together and everything. And again, just letting them riff. It's like, oh, I love this. Yeah, we should call it Lemons. Like that's clever, right? Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's a whatever. It's a bunch of throwaway tracks. But what it really is like, hey, like we worked super hard on this. Like, hopefully it's no skips. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was the goal.
A
You know.
little pop punk, levity. It truly is. And here's another, little innuendo, or I don't know, not going Bloodhound Gang,
So
but
good. Oh,
like,
bro,
yeah, it's very
love them.
like it's very like in homage of all killer, no filler, right? Only just very, it's more
Oh,
succinct.
so good. Yes,
So in
so good.
every sense, and then now it makes a little bit more sense with the. It looks like there's like some mountainous terrain in the back. I don't know. I just thought the artwork and the direction was just really creative, complementary to the project.
Yeah, me and Mikey were inspired by like that 70s sepia, like old postcard looking vibe, like that's like kind of what we were going for. And that dude Nick Farron I mentioned, I've been working with him for years, and he just I don't even ever have to worry. I'm just like, hey bro, here's kind of what I'm doing, and he just like knocks it out of the park every single time. I love that dude so much. I met him when I was touring in Dangerous Summer, and we've been good friends for a long, long time. He's great.
Hell yeah, man.
Um, yes,
Nice, nice. Well,
yeah,
let's round the bases here real quick if you don't mind. So, I've seen a
sure.
photo of I've seen a photo of 5 of y'all in the band and a photo with 4.
Hmm, hmm.
So, who else you got, and what instrument are they on?
So, like I mentioned, initially it was just me and Mikey,
Yeah,
and I run a small production studio just north of Atlanta called Pattern Blue Productions, and
there you go.
I partnered up with a uh, really, really close friend of mine named Brad Pallone, who used to be a client of mine
Okay.
at an old studio I ran uh, about 6-ish years ago, and we just had done a ton of work together, and it was like, hey man, I've got something over here, like I need you to be a part of this. And so Brad stepped up, and he does some rhythm, some leads. I'm really excited for the next record because he's another phenomenal vocalist, so I'm definitely gonna
Hell yeah.
push him to do a lot of dope like call and response stuff. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so sick. He's great. He's another like Atlanta homie. Uh he came up in like the early 2000s. We had always like kind of adjacently done shows together, so it's like really really dope to further involve my kind of creative path with him, not just from like a production standpoint, but just like, hey, dude, like, please, like, I need you in my band. You're so sick. Um, so, so he plays guitar. The other guitarist's name is Cameron Fleisch. Another Atlanta OG. We had played a ton of shows together. I met him in like 2012, 2013
All right.
ish, and we were always doing DIY shows in Atlanta. And he was a drummer at the time, but he's one of those guys that can like play everything. He's like so sick, and I'd always wanted to be in a band with him. And he was another one where we had bonded tremendously over like, man, like I've tried so many times to do a band, and I feel like I'm just not aligned. I can't really seem to get make much headway and
Hmm.
move the needle forward. And we would always stay in touch. And he was another one where I was just like, dude, like, what are you doing? You like, I need you. I've got something over here, man. I've got lightning in a bottle. Like, I got to get you in the room. And then our close homie Richie plays bass in the band, and Richie Hayward. He's another one that is uh, so unique in we were doing DIY shows a little ways north of Atlanta, where him and Cam are from, in Rome, Georgia,
All right.
and I saw one of Richie's bands and like was like, who is this ginger with dreads that's like
Yeah.
stacking a million effects pedals and like doing all this epic like Sigur Rós kind of cinematic shit, like just incredibly talented. I was just always really impressed with everything he had going on. So it was just again this opportunity to just like cherry pick my favorite homies and just like, hey man, like why don't you come jam and see if this works? And that's a unique position to be in too after the record's done, right? It's like, hey, I already have this body of work, but like let's all cook on the next record together and we can all expand the sound a little bit. Um and wouldn't you know it, that's like exactly how that's transpired. And it's been really nice to simultaneously be in a position where I have a bunch of guys that are good at things that
Hmm.
I'm not. Cameron's a very successful touring photographer. He's traveled a lot with our homies in Microwave. Those are some guys that a bunch of us grew up with,
All right.
really close friends of ours, great band. And, having like a really, really talented photographer like that in your band has been game changing. Richie with the cinematics and all the
Yeah.
pedals and effects, and oh man, like let me reverse this bass line I just laid down, Ben, and then I'm gonna learn the reverse bass line, and then we're gonna record that, and then I'm gonna like mess it up and affect it and do all this crazy shit. It's like, okay, like you're sick, like
That's like some
please be in my band.
that's like some Beastie Boys Paul Revere, just like turn the
Yeah,
bass.
exactly,
Why is that? That
exactly.
sounds backwards. That 808 sounds backwards to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's rad, man. Yeah, that's
So good.
yeah, it's it all man, it's just, it's funny how things come together. Just everything has such an amazing ring to it, and kind of adding more color to it now. It's like, all right, yeah, you get to bring folks in and like here's the body of work, rad, and then it's almost like, I'm sort of, this is an outside perspective through my lens looking, you know in at what is, this art project best case. And now it's like, I mean, I was stoked when you told me earlier that there's a new album already on the horizon, but now it's like, okay, cool, now there's way more depth to something that's already very deep, knowing that.
Absolutely.
Hell
And
yeah.
being in a unique position where there's role clarity too, where it's like
Yeah.
I have every one of these guys bringing sick ideas to the table, and it is just been such a blessing, bro, to just like expand a trajectory that I was already like really excited about. And again, I'm just so fulfilled in the process, and it's exciting that it like 2 years into it, it still feels like a brand new band. It's like there's just something so intrinsically different about it that I can't quite pinpoint. But because there's a couple other projects that I'm very emotionally involved in as well. But I knew Best Case was going to be my main focus the minute I broke ground on Lemons with Mikey, and then fast forward to now, where it's like filling out the lineup with some of my best friends
Yeah.
that I've always looked up to. It's just, man, like this is like how did I get here? I met Mike when my whole life was falling apart. Like, like
Yeah, it was. I mean,
you know what I mean?
it's meant to be, man. It's 100% meant to
Yeah.
be. If you had to go on stage right now, what's your go-to kit? I don't know a lot about your band or anything yet. I don't know if there's, I mean,
Mm,
endorsements or otherwise. I've seen a few different photos, but like,
sure.
what's your like? Here's my rig. This is what I'm playing with. I'm going up. We're gonna play the entire album of Lemons right now. What's the kit? What are you
Mhm,
playing on?
sure. So I've been having a serious love affair with Ludwig's,
Hmm.
both current and vintage. Uh, especially their acrylic kits, the Vista lights,
Yeah.
because they were the first to do it.
Hmm.
Everyone uh, tries to emulate
Yep.
those. I used the Vista light on the record as well, and I'm so transfixed by that dry punchiness, and the way I play and how that translates onto the album. I was like super stoked on the studio image of the kit, and I've been using it live a lot as well. And we used a ton of different snares, but I have a Australian Brady she-oak stave that is easily my favorite, and it was one of those, like, I was like a kid and I didn't even know what Brady was. I was just like, that's the best sounding snare in this mom and pop drum shop. I was trading a DW Edge
Okay.
for a different snare, and that was the one I chose. And then I stumbled into this. Oh, Chris Brady's this legendary Australian drum builder, and
Yeah.
he uses these wild woods that are only indigenous in Australia. And now he doesn't make drums at all. So now these are like very
No
sought
way.
after. Everybody talks about the snare that's on Joshua Tree. That's also a Brady snare. It's I believe the wood's called Jara. It's a Jara solid shell. But yeah, I love Brady snares. So sick. Maybe one day I'll be lucky enough to find a whole Brady kit. But lately it's Ludwig. I love the Vista lights, just doing it for me. But I've been just getting into vintage drums,
Yeah.
specifically the Ludwigs. The 70s acrolite snare I would mention as well, because on Jimmy Eat World's Clarity album, that Lucky Denver Mint,
Yeah. What a song.
that's a 70s acrolite.
There you
And
go.
when I figured out that was the drum, I was like, I have to have one of those, and they're super affordable. So for any drummer homie out there that wants like an incredibly versatile, do anything snare live in the studio, whatever, 70s acrolite is the boy. It's so good. But no endorsements currently. I was an SJC guy for a long time when I
Yeah.
used to be in Dangerous Summer. I played SJC for about 14 years. And when I left TDS, I felt that it was time to kind of do something different, and I just fell into this vintage drum rabbit hole, and Ludwig was kind of where I landed, and I started realizing how many records we all listened to growing up were Ludwig drums. Like everyone associates Alex Van Halen, obviously, like very iconic
Definitely.
Ludwig snare sound as well. That's a big one, but yeah, man, Ludwig is the one, dude. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, man, they sound
So
incredible.
good.
What's your bass drum size of choice?
Uh, I used to be a 22 guy, man, and once I went up to a 24,
Hell
I
yeah.
don't think I'll ever go back down. But what's been interesting about the kid I've been gigging with lately is I found a Vista light that's because normally, you see these vintage sizes, everything's really shallow kicks, like 14 by 20, 14 by 24,
Hmm.
and I found a Vista light that was a 16 by 24, and it also had a 12 instead of a 13, and I
Oh
thought
yeah.
that was really attractive.
Hmm.
So the 16 by 24 has just been so money, man. I'm all about it. But yeah, it's got to be a 24. I can't do standard size anymore. I gotta go up a little bit. I love a 24. I would never do a 26. I remember seeing what's that guy's name? He used to be in Suicide Machines, and then he played in Alkaline Trio for a while. Derek
Oh
something.
yeah.
I forget his last name. Phenomenal drummer, but he always used the 26, and man, hats off to that guy, because with 26s, the beater never goes into the
It's
center of
dead
the
center.
head.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it feels like you're hitting a puddle or something. And
Hmm.
with the 24, I can still get a little bit more attack and roundedness and presence, without getting too crazy with it. But yeah, that 16 by 24, man, that's a really, really unique size. I was like really excited to find that on Reverb and be like, all right, give me that immediately. I need it. Like, we all as musicians have that sickness of just like, being addicted to the thrill of the hunt to expand your gear inventory, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's man, it comes even more, dude. It just hit me because on La Chusa was a 24-inch pork pie bass drum.
Yes, let's
So it's
go,
like, dude, I,
dude.
I just had to confirm that yours was 24 as well, and then click or
Yes.
click or no click.
Oh, click all day, bro. I can't live without the metronome.
Nice, nice.
I use it live. Like the only time I don't use it is when I'm writing. But you know, in my early 20s, when I studied drums at Atlanta Institute of Music, I was like 8, 9 years into my creative path, and like, I was terrified of the metronome. And then you get 10,000 hours plus into something like this, and what starts to reveal itself is relationship of pocket. And I think not enough drummers are having a conversation, at least in the realm of, like punk and hardcore
Yeah.
and emo and all of these subgenres of uh, relationship of pocket, in regards to like, okay, well, this I need to be a little, maybe one song I need to be like really on top of the pocket, or maybe one I need to lean back a little bit, or maybe one of them I need to be right on and I need to just be locked in it where the click is buried. It's these nuances and these subtleties like will really make big differences from a production standpoint if you're mindful of them. And um, I don't know if it's just, we're living in this world, and my experience, obviously, I'm looking at it through the lens of a drummer. There's um, tons of guys that are just using all these MIDI samples, and there is no real drums, and you see that in a lot of the like prog metal scene and stuff like that. And I love all that shit. I eat it up, like. But it's very interesting that there's just uh how do I put it? Like, I don't want to say like an abuse, but
Mm-hmm.
there is a predominant pattern, I guess I would notice
Right.
from a
Yeah.
production standpoint, of people like sucking all of the life out of the performance of the record, because they're not thinking about nuances of pocket. And I'm not saying that, like, I exist in settings where nothing is grid edited. Like, I'm not trying to make that
Oh
claim,
no,
but I
not taking
do
it that way at
think
all. No.
that, yeah, but I do think it's important to preserve as much humanity on a recording as possible. And I think, you know, MIDI drums, all this type of stuff, relationship of pocket, like who plays to a click, who doesn't play to a click. Cause like, if we look at like Kings of Leon, like none of those guys play to a click. And
No.
like, I didn't know that for years until somebody pointed out to me. And then I started listening even more closely. And I was
Right.
like, wow, this is so impressive. Like, and for them in that context, it absolutely works. Um, I'm going off, but yeah, I'm a big metronome guy. I think as a drummer, it's incredibly, well, I should say songwriter first, drummer second, but it is incredibly paramount to be able to be in a space where not only can you play to a click, but being able to make these small adjustments in pocket. And hell, maybe it's just, oh, you know what? This one needs to be literally 1 or 2 BPM quicker, or 1 or 2 BPM slower or something, like, but just having that uh, type of expanded view on pocket and how that can affect your composition and songwriting. I'm big on that, man. I tend to romanticize these things, but yeah, I think you're smelling what I'm cooking.
Yeah, no, the devil's in the details, and it can dramatically, just like you said, a couple BPMs off can influence the trajectory. It's kind of like we've all played putt putt golf. Here's the easiest way to put it. you
Oh, I love
you
this. Yeah,
barely you
go
barely
on.
move the putter. You see what I'm saying? And it changes
Yes,
where that
yes.
and that's the and yeah, and those little just yeah, those little nuances can definitely drastically alter an outcome or just make it to where I mean it's like even sometimes the simplest beat, if it's played with feel over rigidity,
Right.
right? Breaking it down to the
Hmm.
the, the bare bones can translate, way way larger. Do you have any sort of like warm up routine, any like rudiments you go through or before a
Uh,
performance?
pre-show,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I studied under a guy named Tom Knight.
Hmm.
He played on that big TLC record that has waterfalls on it and
Yeah.
shit. And
Okay.
he, man, what an interesting guy. Like, it wasn't straight up like Whiplash, like, but there was some tough love, like throwing drumsticks at me and stuff. Great guy though. Like, it was all love. But he taught me an exercise that I still use that was, I mean, literally just a set of singles, a set of doubles, a set of paradiddles, a set of double paradiddles, and then you alternate. And um, for the longest time, I was warming up with a set of marching sticks as well, so that when I got on stage, uh, the regular sticks that I play, it just helped me loosen up. Like you see, like the guys with the weights on their bats, before they get up to bat at a MLB game or something. That
Yeah.
was kind of my thinking there. But I still do that exercise, and he showed that to me in like 2002. That's one that's stuck with me a lot, and I've been really wanting to try. There's this cat, Dave Elich,
Yeah.
that the dude, he's such a genius. The
Yeah.
dude just jumps rope for 10 minutes
Dude.
before he plays shows.
Yeah.
Like, so sick.
Dude's good.
And I have the worst posture. I have scoliosis. That guy would eat me alive. He's a big posture guy, but I've learned how to like skate goofy, if you will, and like learned how to work around my scoliosis in order
Okay.
to play my instrument. And but yeah, I really want to try the jump rope thing, man. That's like, wow, that's so sick.
Dude, yeah, just get the heartbeat up, Just
Yeah, that's it.
I know it's like you're
Yeah,
it's like you're going into a fight. It's like, yeah, it's that feeling of, yeah, getting it
yeah.
getting
It's
it up there.
genius.
Yeah.
It's absolute genius. There's an expression that I say with all my homies before we get up there. I'm always like, empty skull, empty the skull. Like getting older. You get up there and it's like you care so much. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
the stage fright never ever goes away. But it's like a roller coaster. You get a song or two in and you're like so in it. But yeah, that comes to mind. We say that all the time, dude. Empty skull, bro.
Dig it. Dig it.
So good.
And then I noticed too, which I think is super rad and highly engaging, is on your personal Instagram page, you're doing song breakdowns because I think you have some very creative drum parts. Let's say to the person that doesn't know, I mean, you'll know when you hear it because you're gonna listen to the Best Case Lemons album after this. I just know it, but I just love how you like talk. You talk folks through it, and you're like, oh, this. I just thought that's super rad to throw out there to people that want to check that out.
I love that, bro. I'm a huge process guy, and
Yeah.
like stumbling into being in a space where it's like, hey, I want to be in a band and I want to produce, like, and kind of finding a pocket in that balance and what that looks like. I cannot stress enough, like, the gift of like having access to a studio setting 24/7
Hmm.
has really opened up so much in regards to like, songwriting, how you navigate songs, how you can react with what's going on with a vocal, or do I need to lock with what's going on with this guitar line or a bass line or whatever it is. And like being in that setting all the time and being exposed to different genres, it like forces you to expand your own creative vocabulary and gets you thinking in different ways. And like, there's been instances even where I've stumbled into just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just like laid down some drums and I don't know, does this sound like a chorus? What does this sound like? And then I'll sit down with the guys and we'll build on top of that. And like some magic has happened. Or it's been the total opposite. It's just like Mike has some crazy idea and he's just like kind of midied some basic something for drums, and then he'll send me two different bounces, and I'm kind of going back and forth, and it's like, oh well, I really like this one thing that he did here. I wouldn't have thought of that, and
Right.
then I can take that and ask the question of like, okay, well, how would I play that? How can I take that and make it sound like me, but preserve what he was going for. And then a synergy opinion starts to reveal itself. Or like I mentioned, how Richie wanted to reverse his bass line and do something crazy. You know, there's just being in that studio setting all the time. Like it again is ushering in so much more expansion around uh, finding your writer's voice. You know, because I think it doesn't really end if you do it long enough. I think reaching personal mastery in anything, you know, I've been playing this instrument for 31 years and it's like I feel like I'm learning more now than I did, I don't know, 25 years ago when I was like starting to figure out how to play drums and like what that is. And I didn't realize until I started getting out on the road and touring and putting myself out there a lot more, that was like, oh, cool. Like I might have something here. I might have that writer's voice thing where it's like, oh, cool. That does that sound like me? Do people feel that way when they hear these records? And it's like, okay, cool. Like, well, let's go deeper. And the vehicle, the studio, allows you to rediscover that and reinvent that all the time. So I'm so stoked to hear that you're also an educated listener and you're picking up on all of those little subtleties and nuances and details. Because man, that is something I obsess over endlessly. And then simultaneously, those moments where it's like, damn, I wish I would have done that on the record. All right, sick. I guess I'm doing it that way live. You know, that's part of the blessing and the curse, right? As a musician, it's like,
Exactly.
man, like, I wish I would have done that, you know, but it's like, it's fine. There's always another record. There's always another song, you know, like, what's the Rick Rubin expression? It's like, if it's good and if you feel good enough to put it out, like, cool, you can put out the song or the record or whatever it is and be good with it and then move on to the next one, you know.
Yeah, there's a million man, Rick Rubinisms. I'm literally it's on a shelf, the book right across from me right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm reading it right now too, bro.
yeah,
It's a
dude.
good one. Huge
Hell
process guy, man. I love that.
hell yeah. And then, ultimately all of that and the layers and just the fact of, educating and, giving back with the age that we're in now where if you look at what the book by George C. Stone, right, back in the day, Stick Control, and now
Yes.
it's like, oh dude, this Ben Cato dude rips it up on the Best Case album. Oh, and he's giving me a lesson. Awesome. You know what I mean? It's just like you even said something
Yes.
earlier, and I don't want to sleep on it, but same generation here. I remember the good old MySpace days as well. So
Yes, so
hell yeah,
good.
hell yeah. So
Yeah,
um,
dude.
yeah. So any number one, if it's ever on your guys' agenda, please come out to the Pacific Northwest. Um,
Oh, I promise you, bro. I am working on it, and
hell yeah.
it has been the initial goal is to focus on the southeast region, but
Yeah.
absolutely, we intend to get out there as much as possible, and just being in this pocket of like, I've got a group of guys where everyone is so committed to building a catalog of music and they're all in, and we want to go hard. So absolutely, like, we will eventually get our butts out there. I love it out there, man. I've played a lot of good shows up in that area, and I just pray to God that the routing will be a bit more forgiving. I feel like in the past it
Mhm.
was always, why am I skipping over Portland and going to Seattle and then I'm going back down? Like, I don't know why so many tours were routed that way, but that was something I remember very viscerally about being out on the road. But I digress. Absolutely, we will eventually get out there to gig.
Heck,
1,000%.
hell yeah, man. And then there's like this part inside my heart of pop punk hearts that I just think you guys completely belong on the When We Were Young lineup this year.
Oh, bro. I would cry blood to play when we were young.
I'm sending
It'd be
somebody an
so
email. I'm
good.
gonna like I believe in the to go back to the through theme, if you will, of this episode number 9 podcast of being in the right place at the right time for, most importantly, the right reasons. I'm gonna just put the 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 good vibes out into the universe that somebody this falls on their
Yes, good
ears.
juju.
Exactly. And all that good stuff. And um after we hang up the pod, I've got a slept on Northwest, Pacific Northwest location for shows as well. I'm
Oh,
gonna
let's
I'm
go.
gonna throw at you as well. But where do you want people, like the folks that are listening? Where do you want them to go to experience best case in all of its what it is? Where do you want them to go?
I would say the easiest place to find everything for us is just bestcase.band. Like, we're real easy to find on streaming.
Mhm.
Like, we pop right up, but everything is on bestcase.band. Like, if somebody is keen to get a vinyl, or they want to check out some of the music videos or whatever it is, like, everything is on bestcase.band.
Word. Hell yeah. So there's going to be links in the description, of course, as per usual, and you can't go wrong with any track whatsoever that you
Let's go. My man said no skips, man. That made my day. You're
no
making my
skips.
day over here,
No
Brian.
skips. Yeah, absolutely,
So
man.
good.
Go give Ben, Brad, Cameron, Richie, um, Mike, aka Rain Man Robbins, a listen,
Let's
and
go.
you'll be damn sure you did. Um, and yeah, man, thank you again so much for taking the time to come and out of your take time out of your day to be on this podcast. And definitely everybody head on over and check out Best Case. One of the hands down best bands I've heard in a very very long time.
My man. Dude, I appreciate you throwing us some flowers, man. Seriously. I can't thank you for having me on, bro. So sick.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much. And if you're ever out in this neck of the woods, mi casa, su casa, just so you know.
Let's go, dude. Say less, dude. I'm so down.
Hell yeah, brother. Take
Let's
care.
hang. All right, dude.
All right,
You
man.
too, bro.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.